Hello there. Yes, I'm making this and I'm being a bit of a jerk while I'm making this. But November 18th of this year, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet releases, and I'm going to be doing a 24-hour stream, and I would like to see you all there. That's right, November 18th. That's a Friday, 24-hour stream. I will be doing it, and I will be having fun. So come on by, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, do all that stuff, and yeah, we'll have fun. So I'm getting done with the round table with Adam and Dre and Grumpy, and towards the end they brought up this topic. Before we get into the CBR article, they brought up a topic of Green Lanterns, the new Green Lantern show, which is no longer going to be helmed by Alan Scot. The main focus won't be Alan Scot and Guy Gardner. No, it's going to be John Stewart. And when I heard that, and I heard stuff about this, I didn't really look into it much. But the CBR article that he brought up, that we didn't read, but he brought up and led into a great discussion on why we love John Stewart. Oh, wait, we love a black guy? Anyways. But CBR has this, but people are upset, let's say the least. CBR is more upset that the gay Green Lantern series got canceled. That's really what it is with this article. And Comic Book News, who I have no idea what does, they put in the details of what the show was going to be. Details for the Guy Gardner and Alan Scot version of the series have been made known through the official description, character descriptions, and audition videos. What the show was going to focus on was Guy Gardner, Alan Scot, and Bree Jarta as they took on the Sinestro Corps. And these are just some of the descriptions. Guy Gardner came off as white bad guy. Alan Scot as the gay guy, and Bree Jarta as person of color who gets discriminated against. So that's the show that was destroyed, and rightfully so, to introduce one of the fan favorite Green Lanterns. Now, to be fair, I do like Guy Gardner, but that's because he's a loudmouth jackass. And I kind of like that, but that's just me. I'll be honest, but when you think of Green Lanterns, two of the biggest that you always think of, Hal Jordan and John effing Stewart. And to hear this show is coming, I'm excited. I think there's good things coming because we have frickin' James Gunn is helming again the creative department and directing a lot of these things. We have a chance for a really good Green Lantern show. But why don't we get into CBR's little temper tantrum that Green Lantern's new direction means big problems for the DCU show. The Green Lantern TV show is changing stars and slashing its budget, which could make the series unnecessarily ground while treading old ground. Shut up. Because no, we have yet to have a good Green Lantern anything, except for animated. Animated stuff has always been really good. We have not had a great Green Lantern movie, live action movie, or live action show. And to give us John Stewart is freaking amazing. Granted, the show could be shit. The show could be rock solid, which I think it's going to be pretty good, actually, because of what we're getting through DC right now. But why don't we continue getting to this? Announced as an upcoming feature for the new HBO Max streaming service, the upcoming Green Lantern TV show is still nowhere to be found. It's still in development, but its latest news should be disheartening to fans. Not only are its former stars leaving the show's production, but the series itself is seemingly going to be a much smaller affair. This lower budget will focus on a sole Green Lantern, John Stewart, Although bringing in the fan favorite character seemingly makes sense, it actually steals the show from lanterns who haven't had their time in the spotlight yet. Likewise, the smaller scope could potentially be a huge waste of the property, grounding what should be an epic faring adventure. Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's your opinion. That's not what potentially is going to happen. And to be fair, if your season 1 is smaller budget, could potentially focus solely on an Earth-based storyline, that is fine. It could be John Stewart's beginning. He could be focused more on Earth. That's okay. You want to ingratiate a live-action John Stewart with the fans, introducing him in a more grounded, not like super grounded, like it's super realistic. No, more like low level before you get into the high level is perfectly fine. The announcement of the series' changed scope comes with a much smaller budget, which somewhat makes sense given the series' cost beforehand, touted as the biggest DC show ever made. Back in 2019, the estimated budget was around $120 million. That is too much money for a show that was going to potentially flop on its... just flop. It was going to be a disaster, and that's way too much money to keep wasting. Granted, a lot of that money was probably going to go into special effects, which would be shit. If you lower the budget, focus on certain effects because of the ring and things like that, make it smaller, you could have a fantastic show. That's now supposed to be significantly less, which could weaken how much the show does. Green Lantern as a property requires a big budget in order for the constructs and other elements to even look good on screen. No, it doesn't. You just need decent work. It doesn't need to be all of it. Let's take, because I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but let's take House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon had a much smaller budget in comparison to Rings of Power. Rings of Power is still the largest produced show. House of the Dragon, I think, was for $25 million. And their CGI was fantastic. I could be getting that number completely wrong. I'm quickly Googling it on my phone. Let me look it up. House of the Dragon cost. House of the Dragon Explorer. Well, I can't find it right now, I guess. But House of the Dragon was made relative with decent money. I don't believe it had anywhere near this much money, but you can still do this right. So what this article basically is CBR, which is a shill site, pissed that the show, again, is not centered around their gay characters. It's centered around a fan favorite, John Stewart. One likely result of the show having less cash to spend is a more grounded, less epic scope. There's nothing wrong with that. Green Lanterns are meant to be space cops that traverse the galaxy and maintain peace, with a story doing this concept justice, involving all manner of space travel and cool-looking aliens. With the budget slashed in half, or even less than that, the only way to use the character now is with cheaper, worse-looking effects, or eschewing these big budget concepts entirely. Eschewing? What the hell does that mean? Again, no, you can still have really good effects with a lower budget. And also, if it's a smaller, more grounded show, that's fine. Look, might we look at what Ant-Man and the Wasp and their multiverse of not multiverse of madness. God, why are they constantly adding new universes? And Quantum Mania when they go to the quantum zone. Might we take a look at that real quick? That show has such a high CGI budget, but it all looks fake. Like super fake. It's so off-putting. The surreal element is just broken. So then let's shorten that up. Let's get them really good CGI for less money. Green Lantern could look fantastic. And with a smaller story, that could be good for your season 1. You don't need this big epic adventure for your season 1. It could introduce your character, introduce you to this world. Well, you'll probably already be in the world, but this could introduce you to John Stewart, have you build up a connection to John Stewart, and move forward into better shows, into a more bigger budget, into this, into that. Reminder, Game of Thrones Season 1 was made with less of a budget, and the more budget it got, the crappier it became. So it is fine to have a smaller budget. The results will be a Green Lantern show that's set mainly on Earth, which is something that doesn't really utilize the property to its fullest. Sure, the original Silver Age Green Lantern comics were initially more grounded, but this was quickly done away with in the favor of a grander scope. That's how things have been almost exclusively ever since, with Jeff Johns' iconic run of the book expanding the Alien Lantern's mythology even further. Ditching what makes this franchise unique is incredibly questionable, and it will make fans feel the same about the show itself. It's an issue made even worse by who will now star in the HBO superhero show. So, again, I say this. You can have a smaller show, focus more around John Stewart, who's a black man, because we have to go to these racialized things with these freaks, and have us love John Stewart and have us learn about John Stewart and how he interacts on his day-to-day as he's adjusting to becoming a Lantern. Maybe all you go is to Oa and then back to Earth. That's fine. Okay? This is a story of John Stewart, and I would like to know more. I would like to see how they interact with John Stewart. How they treat John Stewart. That's what I care about. I don't need a fantastic budget. Actually, fan films have been doing much greater work on barely anything of a budget and still succeeding. Before the show began its restructure, the premise was going to be a intergenerational with Alan Scot. Intergenerational? To be intergenerational. With Alan Scot being the first human Green Lantern, who they're omitting this, but they care about him because he's gay, even though he might be the first Green Lantern, but he's not the most popular Green Lantern. The other announced star was Guy Gardner, a more modern Green Lantern from Earth. He was supposed to be your racist white dude who everybody hated, even though I actually enjoy him, he's just a prick. Though the latter has had some focus in various DC cartoons, including Batman the Brave and the Bold, which he had several episodes where he was more than just how they're about to say it. Neither of these two have had as much push in live-action media. In fact, their only use there were brief cameos in the Stargirl TV show and failed Justice League sitcom pilot. So they have to admit the fact that in Brave and the Bold, Guy Gardner was the go-to Green Lantern. He was very prominent there. That's where I was introduced to Guy Gardner, and I actually enjoyed Guy Gardner. He was, again, the hot-headed, quick to temper. He was a prick. He was a jackass. That's fine. He had time to grow. And yes, I would like a decent Guy Gardner live action. I wasn't going to get it with this. What you do now is you introduce the fan favorite John Stewart to help helm the show, and then potentially bring Guy Gardner in as a side character and maybe even make him bigger. But for right now, we focus on John frickin' Stewart. John Stewart, on the hand, was the Green Lantern of the Justice League cartoon and its sequel, Justice League Unlimited. Getting several episodes of focus on that series, he became many young viewers' introduction to the Green Lantern mythology. Given his focus in those shows, and most adaptations favoring him anyway, perhaps Stewart isn't the best choice to headline the TV series. So, what they basically just said here is not a catch-22, but it's hypocrisy. And Batman the Brave and the Bold, there were full episodes focused on Guy Gardner. And Guy Gardner growing as a character. But now you're saying, well, in Justice League, the cartoon series, there is episodes all focused on John Stewart. So maybe we should have somebody else. But John Stewart hasn't been live action. I want this. Is that so bad? Oh no, you can't. One of the bigger problems is they can't use their narrative. Because they can't admit that they're mad that they're not going to get their gay Green Lantern series. But it's being replaced by a black man-led Green Lantern series. So they can't use any of their narrative stuff, so they just want to bitch to bitch. The most logical choice is Hal Jordan, as he has the most stories to pull from of any Lantern. On the other hand... Wait. You call us racist when we don't want a race-swapped hero. When we want our heroes to be who we want them to be, which is as they were in the comics. Now that we're getting a John Stewart show, and we're excited, Snyderverse people are angry because it might not be their John Stewart from the Snyderverse. But now that we're getting the John Stewart show, you're in this thing, you advocate for replacing him with Hal Jordan. By your own logic, you just committed a racism. What is it? Are you scared of black people, CBR? Are you scared? God. The hypocrisy! On the other hand, a better idea is to focus on at least one of the other, more overlooked human Green Lanterns. These include Alan Scot, the gay guy who you actually want, Kyle Rayner, who's decent, Guy Gardner, who I like, Simone Bays, and Jessica Cruz. And I know one of these two, I think it's Jessica Cruz, it could be Simone. I think it's Jessica Cruz was drawn by EVS, and then Simone Bays is their heavy social justice Green Lantern, who's a black woman. Again, I could be mixing these two up, but you're mad. But let's go again. You have a brand new Green Lantern show. Who do you want helming this show to introduce newer people to Green Lantern? Who do you choose? Well, I could choose, let's say, Kyle Rayner. Actually, Kyle Rayner is a decent choice, but he has a decent he's a decent choice, but hey. I could choose Guy Gardner. I could choose Simone Bays. I could choose Jessica Cruz. I could choose Alan Scott, who was the first human Green Lantern. I could choose all these people. Okay, well, why don't you choose Hal Jordan or... But then you have Hal Jordan and John Stewart, who are the most prominent, most popular Green Lanterns. Who do you want helming that show? John Stewart or Hal Jordan? I'll take John Stewart over Hal Jordan even. Using Alan Scot could even make the show likely more grounded tone work, as he's not actually connected to the intergalactic Green Lantern Corps and fights more earthbound threats. This would be a great way to highlight other lanterns, namely the most forgotten one, while saving Hal and John for a buddy cop movie in the DC Universe, formerly the DC Extended Universe. This show's canonicity is still questionable, however, especially with the DC Films heads not overseeing it. Thus, it remains to be seen how important it becomes, especially with its lower budget seemingly damning an important lantern to a much less grandiose show. Brings up one good point. We don't know what the canonicity is. My understanding, and this is because of the Peacemaker show, that a lot of the HBO Max shows are going to be in canon with the DC Universe. So, the show could be non-canon. It could be like a CW show. But let's say it is canon. Okay. For the DC Universe, our first interaction with that lantern will be John frickin' Stewart. And you're mad about that. Because, again, they played their hand. They want Alan Scot to be the leader. Because Alan Scot is gay. They want to push their LGBTQAIP up, down, down, left, right, A, B, start initiative with Alan Scot. But they're not getting that anymore. So, with Hal frickin' Jordan being the lead, pisses them off. And they say, well, I mean, Hal Jordan could be in this bigger, grandiose adventure with John Stewart. Mix up my names. John Stewart could be in this big, grandiose thing with Hal Jordan. That would be better. Give us Alan Scott so we can push our messaging. No, I want John Stewart. John Stewart is more popular. In fact, there's a question of who's the most popular Green Lantern. It's either John Stewart or Hal Jordan. And I've established that. And the show even plays its hand by saying a lot of people were introduced to Green Lanterns and John Stewart through the Justice League cartoon series, which was fan-frickin-tastic, and I still rewatch it. That's where I first got my taste of Green Lantern. I'm kid you not. My first Green Lantern wasn't Hal Jordan. I didn't even know Hal Jordan was a Green Lantern. My first introduction to Green Lantern was John Stewart. So when Hal Jordan came out as being Green Lantern, I was like, wait, who's this? This isn't Green Lantern. Green Lantern's John Stewart. And then I went further into the mythos, and I figured out, oh no, Alan Scott was the first, but he's on Earth more, and his weakness is wood. Then you had Hal Jordan, who basically made the character even more popular. Then you got John Stewart, and so on and so forth. I am perfectly fine with my John Stewart show, and I want it. Give it to me. Oh, look. A man who you call a racist, sexist troll is excited for a black-led DC hero show. You're just pissed off that you're not getting your gay Green Lantern series, but you can't say it's because of racisms or homophobia, because it's being helmed not by Hal Jordan, but by John Stewart. With that, guys, give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Who is your favorite Green Lantern, actually? That's the question I'm going to pose. Who's your favorite Green Lantern? If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Share it out with all your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell for every time I put on a live video. Go live and put out a video. Words. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.